What's up everyone, me JP2 here, and in today's video we have level 50 Hisuian decidueye in the Master Premier Cup. Now this thing I decided would be fun to run because it is a complete wall to Excadrill, and it does wall waterfall Gyarados. Now I am running Aerial Ace just because it's good coverage into Annihilate, and Annihilate is kind of everywhere, especially in the Master Premier, so I feel like running Aerial Ace is better than running Energy Ball, even if it does mean you can't hit rhyperior for double super effective, even though Aura Sphere already hits for super effective, and you also can't really hit Gyarados too well, as Aerial Ace doesn't get same type attack bonus, but I decided the extra super effective damage into Annihilate is worth the sacrifice of Energy Ball. Anyways, that's pretty much it. Let's get to the battles. Alright, so we see Arcanine on a lead in the first battle. Now this looks like a terrible lead on paper, but if they're not running Flamethrower, there's really nothing they can do to hit for meaningful super effective damage, like off the bat. Sure, Psychic Fangs is super effective, but that's not going to do much for the first one, and I can probably still tank a second one, and they never farm down because they're on Snarl. So look at this. I can just tank another Psychic Fangs, and despite being double debuffed and in the red, they still never farm down here. Now that Aura Sphere rocks the Arcanine, and now I can commit a shield. Now I am expecting them to go for a snipe, I would not be surprised, and they switch in Heracross trying to snipe. And this is where running Aerial Ace is nice, as that does quite a bit of damage. I now send in Charizard and get 3 wing attacks head on energy, and Charizard just up energy like that, it's just deadly. They have Excadrill, and I'm just baiting. I felt like they were going to shield here, they did, and now I can just commit a shield in return, as Rock Slide would easily one-shot Charizard, and I do have to be mindful of a catch, but I don't think they were, and yeah, they stopped attacking, and they did concede the match there. Into the next battle, and we lead Decidueye into Shadow Magnezone. This is a very good lead, except for the fact that Wild Charge just hits absurdly hard. The opponent then sends in Gyarados, and they're on Dragon Breath, so Togekiss is the right answer here. Now, they can go for 2 Aqua Tails, but Togekiss can tank 2 Aqua Tails, and since they're on Dragon Breath, they just never farm down. So, I can just let this go. This Aqua Tail will do some okay damage, but they still have a lot of trouble farming down. I overfarm by 2 Charms, and then I go for an Ancient Power. I don't remember why I overfarmed, but I think, oh yeah, it was definitely to make sure they didn't get as much farm. Now I send in Decidueye, and they're going to go for a move here. I'm going to shield, it's probably a Wild Charge. They bait with the Mirror Shot, of course. And now I'm going to no shields, because I don't want to go down 2 shields to a Shadow Magnezone that's near full HP. And then they send in Annihilator. Now this is not good at all. Now Charizard loses CMP here. They go for a Shadow Ball. That does a lot of damage, and they get a counter through for some reason. Like, I thought that was CMP, but I guess it wasn't. I realized what their play was here, and their play was to just try and get my final shield so that Magnezone either got more farm or had 2 shields, and their Magnezone is up farm, and I think I need a double bait to win this. I go for 1 Aerial Ace, and now I'm going for a second one. If they call this, I lose, but they do shield it, and now they can't farm me down, they don't have back-to-back moves. We make it to an Aura Sphere KOs Magnezone, and we take that game. We see Florges on the lead in the next battle. Now, Florges is not good for this team, as it does just kind of beat Decidueye, and it's bulky. I also failed the Disarming Voice catch, so this game probably is already over. The opponent sends in a Snorlax, and I'm just going to go for a Blast Burn. Blast Burn hits for heavy damage. Now, I realize a Dragon Claw will not KO from this range, so I'm hoping I can make it to back-to-back, but unfortunately they go for a Body Slam. Now, I need Switch Advantage here, because I can't let that Florges be aligned onto my Decidueye, so I do have to shield. My opponent probably can just take the shield advantage and give up Switch Advantage, and that looks like that's exactly what they're going to do. Now, I have a Blast Burn loaded, and I go for a bait here because I was like, oh, they're definitely shielding. They don't. Now, I was quite surprised by this, but thankfully, I make it to a Blast Burn, and that looked like CMP. Blast Burn hits for heavy damage, and it's a CMP tie, so that's perfect. They go for the Disarming Voice, it takes me out, and I will send in Decidueye, and I thought they were definitely going to bait here, but they didn't, and I just got fully one-shot. My only hope is they have something that's extremely weak to Charm, like they need like a Dragon type in the back or something, and it's an Annihilate. Now this is winnable. However, if they go for a bait, like if they're running Night Slash and they bait and I shield it, I lose. And unfortunately, I get the call wrong, and I do lose that battle. See Goldengo on the lead in the next battle. This is awful. Gholdengo is just kind of a core break for this team. Now, I'm hoping they shield anyways, and they do. Now, at this point, I'm just going to take that. I'm happy with that. Shadow Ball will take me out from this range. Also, I don't know why they're running Astonish. But now, I send in Charizard, and I just have to hope they don't pivot, because if they pivot, I can just straight up lose on the spot, as Togekiss can just get taken out by Gholdengo, and then Charizard has to sweep. Now, I will wait, and the opponent does try to catch on to Gyarados, but this still isn't good, as I don't think I can get a full farm down without them making 3 Aqua Tails. They go for Crunch, though, so I don't know why they do that, but it's fine by me. So now, they go for an Aqua Tail, and I do need to throw an Ancient Power here. I farm up as much as possible, but now I have to go for an Ancient Power, and unfortunately, I'm just low enough. I'm probably in Astonish farm that range. Now, if they do if they do just shield this Ancient Power, I can still win, but they know better than that. They no-shield it. And now, I send in Charizard, but I'm going to have to go for a Blast Burn and make it to another move, but they have an Annihilate in the back, and this is an extremely positive matchup, but even up this much energy, they're on Night Slash, and I need to have a Blast Burn ready for the Gholdengo, so I do have to throw a Blast Burn here and still leave with one, but unfortunately, that was CMP, and now I have to go for the Dragon Claw, but I'm out of energy, and yeah, now I just lose. Unfortunately, they can go for a Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball will take me out, and I do lose that game. We see Garchomp on the lead in the next battle. Now, the opponent's actually on Mud Shot, so this is very good. Now, if they were on Dragon Tail, they could probably farm me down into a range where Outrage takes me out, but decidueye tanks 1 Outrage. Now, I do think that I will just lose CMP when they make it to the second move, which is unfortunate, but yeah, the Outrage nearly takes me out, and they do go for a move here, and I decided I might as well get some shields down, as Charizard typically is better without shields. So now I can go for an Auraseer. This will actually get no-shielded. My opponent just took switch advantage. Then I send in Metagross, and I'm glad I have Charizard here. I would have preferred to be running my Fire Spin Charizard, because I do have 2 level 50 Charizards. But now, I'm going to be going for a Blast Burn. They shield it. I'm not in the mood to have a bait called, so they can't really no-shield a bait if I just don't bait, so we're not baiting. Now, I can shield the Meteor Mash, and I should be able to make it to a Blast Burn one before they make it to another Meteor Mash. Now, I need to be aware that they're going to try and catch. They do try and catch, and they try and catch onto a Togekiss. Now, thankfully, I have my Shundo Togekiss that can tank an Ancient Power from here. Thankfully, an Ancient Power won't take me out. They don't get a boost, which is nice, because I lose on the spot if they boost. And my Ancient Power gets them low enough that 1 Wing Attack takes them out. Now, we have a Blast Burn loaded, and Metagross is going to get absolutely destroyed by this Blast Burn. Takes him out, and we do take that game. See Decidueye into Gyarados in the next battle. Now, this is a very good lead, and they're on Waterfall. Now, this is insanely good on paper. The problem is the combat power difference, and the fact that we only have non-stab moves to hit them with, as Aerial Ace and Psycho Cut both are not same type attack bonus. Meanwhile, they get same type attack bonus on Waterfall and Aqua Tail. Make this matchup not as comfortable as it really should be, as my opponent can probably shield once and just take switch, despite being fully walled, which is kind of annoying. It's kind of like this thing's matchup into Landorus. Like, this thing is supposed to just destroy Landorus, but it doesn't. Landorus actually beats it in all even shields. And see, they shield here, and they are able to take switch. Thankfully, I would have been able to take switch if shields were down, so it's still not like the worst matchup. But now, I send in Charizard, get energy, and they send in Excadrill. Now, if I was down energy, I just lose this game on the spot, as Excadrill just sweeps me. But thankfully, since I have 2 shields in play, I do make it to a Blast Burn. I do overfarm here, as I was expecting them to go for a catch. They don't. And now I overfarm by 1, still expecting the catch, and they still don't try and catch. And I go for the Blast Burn, and, well, I can see why they didn't catch. This thing doesn't want to see a Blast Burn either. Unfortunately, it will be seeing a Blast Burn, as they get fully one-shot, and we do take that game. You see Decidueye into another Gyarados in the next battle, and this opponent is on Dragon Breath. Now, this is actually a losing matchup now, which is really sad considering their energy is walled, but it's not the end of the world, as I can farm up a ton, and now they might think this is a Solar Beam or something, and I am actually able to get a shield because of this stupid overfarm that I did. Now, I can just go for Aerial Aces. They're not going to do much, but they will get them into, like, the yellow, and then Togekiss can hopefully get a farm down. Now, they are into the yellow now. They try and get a farm down. I barely don't make it to the aerial ace. Now, I'm just gonna send in Togekiss. They go for an Aqua Tail, and now they're gonna make it to another one. I still have no intention of shielding here. And they go for the Aqua Tail, gets me to the yellow, but I can just get a farm down. Now, I'm hoping that whatever they send in like a Metagross or whatever, it's gonna be walled by Charizard. And they send in a Togekiss. So now I can go for the Ancient Power. They no-shield it, and I send in Charizard. Now, Charizard is going to have to shield its Ancient Power, as we will get one-shot by it, unfortunately. Ancient Power grabs my shield. And now I want to just go for a full farm down here. However, I was nervous of them making it to another Ancient Power. So I am going to just go for the Dragon Claw, just to be safe. They have Excadrill in the back, though, and yeah, it's kind of over because of the energy lead that I have. They have to call a bait. I wasn't baiting. We win. We see Rhyperior on the next battle, and this is the best lead. The opponent then safe switches a Gyarados, and like I was honestly going to run Jolteon because of how many Gyarados safe switches I saw. Like these aren't my first battles. I did a couple battles before this, and everyone was safe switching Gyarados, and I was so tempted to run Jolteon, but in the end, I just decided to stick with Togekiss. And I mean, maybe I'll make a video using Jolteon, but for now, decidueye is the counter to Gyarados that we need. So now, I take them out, and they send in Rhyperior, and they're on Smackdown. Granted, doesn't matter too much between Mudslap and Smackdown, because decidueye walls both of them. Unfortunately, for them, Smackdown I think has slightly worse energy generation. And, I mean, also, I wouldn't want to see Charizard into Rhyperior. The opponent has Gardevoir. Now, I'm resisting Charm. This should be good, right? But because I really don't want to have a Dragon Claw get called, I'm just going straight Blast Burn. And the problem with this is that they can go for a Triple Axle. Now, they're going to be boosting their attack, and this actually comes close as to whether or not the Charms will actually KO me before I make another Blast Burn. If they don't, I lose. So I need to get to another Blast Burn, and I barely do. Now, this Blast Burn will take out the Gardevoir, and they only get one Smackdown energy, and they realize that, and they just concede the match. We see Metagross only in the next battle. This is not ideal, as Meteor Mash will hit for a ton of damage. The opponent banks a Meteor Mash and sends in Mamoswine. That is the most questionable catch I have seen in my entire GBL career. Regardless, I send in Charizard. Now, I will have to shield this Avalanche as well. I can tank it. I still don't want to tank it. Now I'm going for a Blast Burn. Now, my opponent does no-shield it. I didn't know if they were calling a bait or not, but I wasn't baiting. Now, I'm going to be able to go for tons of Dragon Claws into this Garchomp, and while it is non-stab and not the strongest move, 3 of them should take him out. And because they have a Metagross, I do need to preserve Charizard, so I will just send in Togekiss. They not safe switch, they send in the Metagross. And I do realize I should just throw away Togekiss here, as it kind of didn't have any real purpose left to serve, as it's just going to get farmed down by Metagross. Now I go for the Blast Burn though, take him out, and now Decidueye should make it to an Aura Sphere. Now, if they're running Sand Tomb, they could bait and maybe make it to a move, but they go for an Earth Power. Looks like they're double nuke. We make it to an Aura Sphere. Aura Sphere will be taking them out, and we do take that game. We see Decidueye into Dragonite in the next battle. This is not a good lead at all. Now, I'm going to just have to safe switch Charizard, as Togekiss is not the thing that I want to send in, as it is my hardest counter. Now, they send in Gyarados, and I'm glad I'm not running my Fire Spin Charizard here, because that's just significantly worse. Now, Dragon Claws will be getting them low, but one Aqua Tail does take me out, and my opponent throws on pretty good timing. Like, I am at like 2,300 ELO for these battles, so it is a higher level of play for my opponents. Now, unfortunately, they're still not in Aerial Ace range because it doesn't get the same type of attack bonus, so I have to farm up even more, and that does mean they get to get an Aqua Tail off. Doesn't do too much, but I'd still rather not take it. Now, I sent in Togekiss. I didn't even try to catch the move here. I wasn't trying to. I just wanted to get a snipe. Fortunately, I do catch a Aqua Tail, and it's Metagross. Yeah, they had a Dragonite, so I wasn't winning that. Excadrill just met its hardest wall in the next matchup as we lead it into the Decidueye. The opponent sends in Garchomp, and that's kind of unfortunate for them because there's not really anything they can do here. They should be able to double debuff me with Sand Tombs, and their Excadrill will win CMP, so if they want to, they can deny my energy, but that's fine. Their Excadrill still has nowhere to run against this thing, so it's fine. They actually do overfarm though, and now they have to commit a shield. They do, and now they will be able to overfarm a ton. However, that energy still does not go anywhere into decidueye. So while the Rock Slide will take out my heavily debuffed Togekiss, I can just send in decidueye. If they're not running Iron Head, they can't do anything, and then they send in Dragonite. Now this could get kind of dicey, just because of the fact that Charizard is fairly glassy. So I need to be able to make it to like 3 Dragon Claws here, because I need to be able to get them low enough into an Aerial Ace range, and I still need to pull the shield from them. So this one will get the shield. And now, if this was even shields, I'd probably just straight up lose. But because I was up a shield here, I can just go for the Dragon Claw. Thankfully, switch timers weren't up. I was paying attention to that, because if they caught, they could still easily win this game. But then they send in the Excadrill, I send in Decidueye, and this Aura Sphere just takes out the Excadrill, and we do take that game. We see another Gyarados in the next battle. This one's also on Dragon Breath. Like, honestly, I was seeing like 50-50 split in Dragon Breath versus Waterfall. The opponent tries to catch a move onto Metagross. Don't know what they're trying to catch, whether they're like trying to catch an Energy Ball or something, I'm not sure. Regardless, Blast Burn nearly one-shots them, and now they can just go for any move here. They go for an Earthquake. I think Meteor Mash actually does more because of the same type of attack bonus, but it's fine, they were only getting to one move anyways, and now that does let me get to back-to-back Dragon Claws, I think. So now, these Dragon Claws will be able to do some very nice damage. First one connects, this second one should probably also connect. Now, we're able to get one more Wing Attack off, and then the opponent has Annihilate. Yeah, it's kind of game over. We see Florges on the next battle, and Florges we've seen before, massive problem for my team. This time I actually do get the catch though. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a Disarming Voice bait, and it is, and now the opponent is going to continue to farm. Not sure what they think they're doing. They try and catch a Blast Burn onto another Arcanine. Like, granted, I was extremely surprised to have seen as many Arcanines as I did. But the thing is, this is extremely easy to force switch. I can shield this Psychic Fangs, and now, these Dragon Claws, 2 of them should be able to pull a shield. So I go for the first one. Now the Wing Attacks plus the Dragon Claws should be able to get shields. So, they can shield once, but I do believe I win CMP here. They do let it go through, though. And now, well, I still get my shield right back with this Blast Burn, because otherwise their Florges is gone. They do shield it. Shield animation doesn't play, it just doesn't on CMP sometimes. Why? I don't know. Ask Niantic. But now, I send in Togekiss. Togekiss can just no-shield this. If it is a Moonblast, it'll do some pretty okay damage. And now, we can just shield. Now, this is definitely a Disarming Voice, but I was not feeling in the mood to risk it. So now, they can go for another Disarming Voice here, but this won't take me out. I can no-shield it, and I was expecting them to catch, but they actually didn't. And now, I can send in Decidueye with the Aerial Ace, they just let it go, and then they have Garchomp. Now, unfortunately, this one's on Mud Shot, and like, earlier I said that was good, but I got a bit of chip damage, like, off on me, like, the floor just got some chip damage off on me. That means Outrage does take me out, and Togekiss is just too low. We get farmed down by a Garchomp. You see Chestnut on lead in the next battle. This is very good as Aerial Ace hits are double super effective, and my opponent safe switches the worst possible response, Rhyperior. I can go for an Aura Sphere. I probably could have baited here, they're definitely shielding. But now, I can no-shield this. Breaking Swipe is just not going to do too much. And while it does get the attack debuff, I'm still not really in farm down range. I can go for an Aura Sphere, and I should be able to make it to another Aura Sphere if they try and farm down. But I realize here, they're a Shadow. They probably get taken out by an Aerial Ace here. So they do shield it, so they're selling out for Switch, and we make it to an Aerial Ace. And this is awful for my opponent. It looks like they just already force quit the app. And first of all, I hate it when people do that, literally just concede the match. But the Aerial Ace didn't even take him out. So now I just have to charm through this. So I'm just going to speed this up for y'all. I do not need to waste your time. They get charmed through by Togekiss, and we take that game. We see Mamoswine at the lead of the next battle. Now, this is not exactly the best lead, as they make it to an Avalanche before I even make it to an Aura Sphere. So I'm definitely going to need to bait to be able to actually win this matchup, and if they call this, I can just lose this matchup on the spot. Thankfully, they do shield it, and then they make a very nice catch on a Dragonite. Looking at my HP here, I decided that I should be able to rebank an Aura Sphere, as they are definitely not throwing a move here, and then I send in Togekiss. Now, my hope here is I get enough farm to make it to an Ancient Power or an Aura Sphere to force a shield from the Mamoswine, but the Mamoswine has a lot of energy on it. I think it already has an avalanche bank. So even if I shield here, I'm not even sure if I make it to an Aura Sphere. So I do go for it. And now I try to make it to the Aura Sphere, and I do make it to the Aura Sphere. Now the Aura Sphere should be grabbing their shield, and now they're going to have to throw a move to take me out. So they can throw it, and now I was thinking, honestly, I might just send in Charizard here to get farm. They're definitely sending in whatever they had in the back, and they send in Gyarados. Now I'm going for the Blast Burn, as Blast Burn does a lot of damage, and then we're going to go for an Aura Sphere. Now the Aura Sphere barely doesn't take him out, and they leave with the Aqua Tail. And if I was able to get a farm down there, I still had a chance, but fortunately, Aqua Tail does take me out. We do lose that game. Overall, this thing, like, in this league is actually very fun to use, just because it gets to Aura Spheres extremely fast, and that's always fun, as it does wall Excadrill, and it does very well into Gyarados. Now, if you somehow have one of these, which first of all, I applaud you, but second of all, do run Energy Ball if you're specifically hunting Gyarados, as I do think 2 Energy Balls will take him out, which is significantly better than 4 Aerial Aces, so make sure to run Energy Ball if you want to hunt Gyarados. Anyways, that's it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.